things they literally don't show you. Like, this dam is, I don't know much about infrastructure or civil engineering, but I'm pretty sure it's a engineering feat because it's just amazing. It looks very strong, looks very well built. I haven't even seen a dam in America. So that's another thing they just don't show you in Africa. They try to just paint this picture where it's like Ghana, Africa, they just need so much help. They can't basically do anything themselves. And it's like, no. And here is like evident, like my own experience is like a testament to that. It's just evidence to that this is like a normal place, just like every other normal place, with buildings and people and dams and houses that sit on top of mountains, like bridges that are almost like, that look just almost like the Golden Gate Bridge. And it's just amazing to see, amazing to hear. Something about touching down in Ghana and seeing that everyone, if not most people around you, are African. So it's like, y'all are literally like my brothers and sisters. Like, we are literally a community. Like, we're out here. Like, there's a whole, like, it's crazy because Ghana is just a piece. Like, Accra, Cape Coast, Prom, Duwaku, Street International, that's just a piece of the larger pie that is Africa. So it was just this idea that, like, we're out here so deep. Like, we're rolling so deep. As a squad, we're rolling deep. Like, as a squad, like, there's so many of us. Like, I just felt such a like sense of community. And I remember like within the first day when I was talking to Kiki and Aaliyah about like how we felt being there, I remember just thinking that like I never felt more comfortable being there than anywhere else in the world. Like, I mean, I'm born and raised like in this house. High key. Like, I've lived in this house my entire life. The only time I left was to go to school, which is in Long Beach, and that's 30 minutes away. But it doesn't matter if I spent like 20 years or 50 years in Inglewood. At the end of the day, I would never feel the sense of like comfort and security that I felt when I was in Ghana, when I was surrounded just around like our culture, our heritage, our history, our people. It was just something that like I wouldn't trade it for like anything in the world. Really touched me was visiting the slave dungeons because I don't know my African heritage. I don't have like direct tithings to like my African family or anything, or like my African side or stuff like that. So I felt like this was very much like, this is our history. Someone who like, the farthest I know about my family's history is that like my aunt is from Chicago, and if my aunt wasn't from Chicago, like if she didn't come to LA from Chicago, then my mom wouldn't have came to LA from Chicago, and that's just about it. And before Chicago, it was like the rural south of like Mississippi. But that's like my family history starts here in America, or that's when it started really being written down. So in terms of like the slave dungeons, I was very touched, and it was a very, I don't even know how to vocalize the experience. It just makes me like tear up thinking about it. But it doesn't make me tear up in terms of like, well, it makes me tear up in terms of like, how dare anyone who so much of them were like, oh, we're just trying to civilize these people. Y'all are the uncivilized ones. How dare you put a dungeon under a church? What is wrong with you? And then on top of that, like, what kind of sense does it make to come to someone else's, what sense does it make to come to someone else's home, take them, enslave them, beat them, and treat them like worse than trash, worse than animals? So I was really sad about that, and really saddened to hear the things that we have to endure. But at the same time, it was almost like a tale of resilience, because here y'all are doing everything in your power to bring us down as Africans, as Ghanaians, and yet here we still rise. Here we're still battling, pushing, fighting, doing everything that we can to make sure that we got each other. And the hardest part of the whole slave dungeons was, for me, it was seeing the stairs that the women were led to at Elmina. It was really hard to see those stairs that led up to like the governor's like room, where like he would like lead up the woman he chose from the female dungeon, and where she would have to like walk back down and be most likely raped by another like captain or soldier or something. That was really hard to process, because I felt like being someone who was like a little light, a little mixed, not like mixed, but being someone who's a little light, I feel like that was like a direct lineage like from my history, in a sense that like for me to even exist, someone along the line had to get, like someone in my family, a lot of people in my family like are like, not just my mom, but like my mom's mom is very white looking, or still got super nappy hair, but skin is like really light. So just hearing that and seeing that, it just really hurt me and touched me deeply, because I can't imagine that type of fear, that sort of like psychology, and just it just really made me cherish the opportunities I have now, and it really gave me like energy and motivation to make sure that everything I say I'm gonna do, everything that I say I'm going to achieve, is something that I actually make sure that I accomplish, because my ancestors didn't go through this for me to waste it. Like, there must be some reason that I was born in America, born in California, born with the opportunity to go to school and get a film education and get an education, period. Like, I have to do something with this, and I have to know that at the end of that journey of doing something with the tools I've been given, it ends with going back to Africa and helping and doing as much as I can for the continent, for the ancestors that got me here. Because every time we would hear the stories, every time the tour guide would be talking about what was happening at these dungeons, I would just think, how does anyone survive this? Like, how did we get to America? How did the ships even stop from Haiti to Jamaica to the whole triangular trade? Like, how did anyone survive? How are we even in America? It doesn't even make sense to me. But it just means that we're resilient and we can't give up. And whenever we're hearing about President 45 doing some other wallet, it's just like, okay, we're gonna let y'all have this moment, but just know that we're making silent moves. So blessed and thankful I am that I was able to go and undergo this experience. Like, as an African American young adult, I was able to set foot in the motherland, and not only set foot in the motherland, but I was able to interact, give back, learn a lot, and be able to take back the spirit of just knowing that I belong somewhere.